I'm Joanna. Welcome to my channel. This is my 30th video. Today I'm going to review 4 books, 3 fiction, 1 nonfiction. Let's get started. My first novel is The Satisfaction Cafe by Wang. We follow the main character, Joan, a young girl from Taiwan. She unexpectedly moves to the States, to California, and she attends Stanford University. She marries in her culture, and it turns out, actually rather tragically, but she remarries, and this time the person is white, so we get a sense of her transition into this new culture. She has a family, and her life is rather interesting. In her later years, she finds a new purpose. She comes up with this unique concept of opening up a cafe where people could come and be heard and listened to by a hostess who is a non-therapist for free. She calls it the Satisfaction Cafe, hence the title of the book. I enjoyed this author's prose, and she came up with some really beautiful metaphors. For example, though in Nelson's experience, happiness was only a concept anyway, a clever, slippery creature that slips through your hands right at the moment when you think you have finally caught it. And there are so many like that in the book. So the author develops each character completely, sometimes devoting full chapters to individuals, like so many of the people that Joan interacts with throughout her life. For example, her husband, her children, and friends and acquaintances. Not only does this prolong the story, it becomes too much story. And for me, it made the novel lose its appeal. It's a bit like life. The story can go on and on and on. Actually, it would make a great series, book 1 and book 2. Overall, it was a good read. It was entertaining. I give this 3.5 stars. Novel number 2, Remain by Nicholas Sparks and M. Night Shyamalan. Typically, you know what you're going to get when you choose a Nicholas Sparks novel, a good feel romance story that you struggle to put down. He has written about 23 novels, including The Notebook, and now he has paired up with M. Night Shyamalan, and he himself is a prolific movie director. He has made about 16 movies, including The Sixth Sense, The Village, etc. So no surprise, this book is being made into a movie, which I understand will come out next year around this time. How do I describe this novel? Well, it's a cross between romance and spookiness. So the main character is Tate Donovan. He is mourning a loved one so deeply that he falls into a depression, and he has to spend time in a medical facility. Upon his release, his good friend Oscar puts him to work. So Tate travels from his New York home to Cape Cod to design a home for his friend Oscar and his family. Tate is an architect, so he stays at a historical bed and breakfast while working on the project, but he's not alone in this old B&B. He meets Wren, a gorgeous gal who strangely helps him through his grief. The story is basically a murder mystery, and the romance may seem a little strange, but I do like the way love conquers in life, and it seems in this novel how it conquers in the afterlife. The novel is well written and very entertaining. I hope I didn't give too much away. I do anticipate the movie may be a bit better. I'm looking forward to it. I give this novel 4 stars. Novel number 3, Twice by Mitch Albom. This is another prolific author who has written 20 books or so. Most of us have read at least one of his books. Remember Tuesdays with Morrie? He's such a beloved author. In this novel, the main character, Alfie, was born with a special gift, just like his mother and his grandmother. And that's the ability to do things twice or have a do-over. For example, if he experiences something that he is unprepared for, or he experiences an embarrassing incident, or something in the present was going very wrong, etc., Alfie, all he has to do is say twice, and he could go back and redo it. For the most part of his life, this works for him. But there is a caveat. It does not work when it comes to love. So if he thinks the grass is greener on the other side, he can go for it, but he can never return because that person will no longer love him. So Alfie keeps a notebook where he writes his day-to-day activities. And in this way, all he has to do is refer back to his notebook and find the place and time that he can jump back to if he wants a do-over. So it is through Alfie's notebook that the narrator takes the reader through the novel. So the novel begins with Alfie getting arrested for seemingly rigging a poker hand. And then the porter, I think that's what you call him, begins questioning him and because it's very suspicious. And then eventually the detective comes. And that is how the story is unraveling, through this questioning. This is a mystery, and the story continues to change as Alfie jumps timelines. This is a really sweet story, a love story, and there is a twist at the end. Would many of us like to do our regrets? Probably, but I think there would be mainly a disturbance, if we were able to have these redos. There was a repeated saying in the book, I want, and you want, and God wants what he wants. I think this is a fun read. I enjoyed it. I give this 4.5 stars. Book number 4, my nonfiction book, Playfully by Holman. In this book, the author writes about the power of unstructured play for children, and she gives some academics and includes perspectives like Erik Erikson, the developmental psychologist, and others as to why she holds this view. This is also part of where her desire to design toys for children comes from. She focuses on creating toys that will enhance children's activities while having endless fun. Today, Holman is an American toy designer. She designed the Gmo, these bendable magnetic limbs as they are described, and the Rigamajig, this play set. And they are open-ended toys, that's what they're called, and there's not a right or wrong way of how to play with them. They're unstructured. This is very popular. I actually want the play set, both of them, for my grandkids. She also writes about how difficult it was for her to get started. She not only got many no's from companies not willing to sell her toys, but the no's also came with arrogant criticism. Most likely because her ideas are outside the typical toy box. The author did share a lot about her personal life in the book, how she struggled growing up in society. She always felt like she didn't fit in. She is gay. She was raised by her mother, and her dad has disowned her. I don't want to give too much away in the book, but I really did appreciate this author/designer's uniqueness. My background's in child and adolescent development, so I really appreciate her vision and her passion for children's play, and her toys are pretty awesome. I found her journey in this book very interesting, and because I have a soft spot for this kind of topic, I give this 4 stars.